All right, so sometimes you got to round. You got to be a little bit more careful. So it's not just a case of lopping off numbers on the end. So for instance, let's say we've got a number like 58,327.8, okay, and we want to round it to maybe, I don't know, five significant figures. Okay, so that's not too bad. So we've got to five significant figures. We take the first five, so 5, 8, 3, 2, 7, and we remove the 8. And because it is a 5 or higher, we round up the one next to it. So that would become 58,328 with rounding up. But then we go to four significant figures, right? So we go to four significant figures and we just kind of move along till we get the first one that's not a zero, which is actually the first digit here. We have 5, 8, 3, 2, and that 7 is the first one we round off. So we know we round up, so that 7 is removed, and the number next to it is rounded up by 1, so that would be 5, 8, 3, 3. But we have to be very careful here because if we just write 5, 8, 3, 3, it looks like we've done it correctly, but we've actually made a terrible mistake. And the terrible mistake is we have changed by a factor of 10, actually, the number itself. So we need to have the 5 in the 10,000s column. And right now we've got the 5 in the thousands column. So we actually have everything shifted away one column where they're supposed to be. The 8's supposed to be in the thousands instead of the hundreds and so on. So we have to do what's called padding here. We've got to pad it out. So we have removed the ones, but we can't just go ahead and lop it off, or we've essentially divided it by 10. We've got to pad it out with a 0. So it would be 58,330 to three significant figures. And if you want to put the comma in there, that's totally fine. And the same with three significant figures. So with three sig figs, we don't have to do any kind of round up at this point. So we take the 5, the 8, the 3, and we lop off the 2. Doesn't matter if there's a 7 next to it. It's the first digit we remove. We have to worry about changing the round up value. So it's just 583. But again, if we write 583, you can see that we have made it 100 times smaller because the 5 needs to remain in the 10,000s column. And it can't suddenly change to the hundreds column. The 8 has to be in the thousands. The 3 has to be in the hundreds. So we pad it out again. So we put zeros on the end. And so on. So if we wanted to round to 2 or to one significant figure, we would essentially just write 58,000. And for the last one, we would write 60,000. And so we have to pad out those zeros there so to keep the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the 10,000s all in the right place. Now, I did a quick Google search here. I don't know if you remember these. When I went to school, I remember years ago we had these counting cubes. And so these were the ones, right? These individual kind of Lego bricks. And then these were the tens. And then these sheets here were the hundreds, I suppose. And maybe a cube of them would be the thousands. So you can think of these, right? So these would be the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands. Do you remember those, or am I just crazy? Hey, you want to see one other really cool thing? So remember in the intro video, I showed you my three cats. Well, it turns out that we found a cat just yesterday who's ever so cute. Let me show you a quick picture of her. Isn't she adorable? She was just kind of dumped behind a dumpster, actually, right behind a Family Dollar. And my son heard her meow and said, "Oh gosh darn it, right, there's a cat out there." So we took it in, and I guess we're adopting it for now. So, but isn't she sweet? So she's actually sitting inside of a candle container right there. She's tiny, probably about 7 weeks old. Nothing of course to do with raining, but I just want to show you a cute cat picture. So let's move on to some conversions in the next lecture.